Okay, let's see how this goes. Right, I wonder how big we're going to make this one. This will be an interesting one. It's either 114 or 200%. I'm going to make it 114. We'll see how we go. 141, not 114. What was I saying? Right, what are we going to do with this? Oh, fuck off, Konica. You and your fucking user interface. Useless bitches. Useless CEO. Money fuckers. Go to hell. That's where you belong. Fuckwits. If hell exists, I hope it does. I don't care what the fuck you suffer forever. That's good. You're going to get punished for your fucking services rendered, you dirty little piglet or pig in Japan, whoever you are, the CEO of Konica Minolta. You're going to hell, bitch. If you continue this kind of behaviour, you better say your prayers, you stupid cunt, because you're fucking going to hell. You and your fucking sleazy little management team, you know, you fuck over everyone who buys a fucking Konica Minolta. This machine only has 5 years for spare parts. Isn't that terrible, folks? Hey, it's terrible. This should be punished for eternity if such a punishment actually exists. If there's an afterlife, let's hope the afterlives of these bitches proves to be fucking horrible. This is what we're photocopying, more fucking cheap and nasty shit. Oh, what the hell? It's all about money. It's all about making money, and of course children and Star Wars fans absolutely love this shit. And they fucking, yeah, I think we'll stick on that one. Trying to decide if we're going to make it a movement piece or a still piece, but, you know, it's just all about money. Everything's cheap and nasty and bit horrible, and sometimes you pay a lot of money for shitty things. It's no longer, it's just not fair, you know, the way the world has gone. All this fucking profiteering and racketeering and all that shit. I don't know what's going to happen to this fucking planet if it continues. There won't be enough. Oh, that's interesting. We didn't get much of it in. That yellow looks a bit too like it's too overpowering, but the background nice and colourful. We need a happy colour in this world anyway, so. But I'm thinking we might get rid of the yellow for this. I don't think we're going to have a background colour. This will be interesting because there's a lot of black, and I've made it into a negative positive reversal, so we're going to take that off, and I'm wondering if we're just going to just return that to standard and maybe just put that there. Fucking Konica Minolta and other rich fuckwit companies. Honestly, I've got no respect for them, folks. You can't get me to fucking respect these bitches. They're just a fuckload of cunts. Useless fuckers who just want to stuff the planet, stuff humanity, slave labour for Konica Minolta's Chinese photocopier factory, and also Vietnam, where the bottom of the photocopier is made, the base. So it's not fucking right, folks, but what can you do? I've got no power, I don't have the money or the power to make a difference. I just observe this shit and get really angry and frustrated. And I just feel like there's nothing I can fucking do about it, which really pisses me. I wish I could do something. If I had the power or the money, it'd be so much fun being able to fix problems that other people don't want to fix. So, you know, no one seems to think about it. They just buy things and they don't care, and they don't think, where does it come from, who's making it. But then there's not much you can really do about it, which is really sad, because if we could boycott products, maybe the CEOs will think twice about fucking up our environment. So basically, if we could potentially boycott Konica Minolta by people showing their bad tales of how this machine isn't living up to what we expect it to live up to. So we have to basically tell our stories and show it on video, and then put it on YouTube and Facebook. We must stop as far as toner heads are concerned. Toner heads are photocopier nerds. There are not many, if any, toner heads in the photocopier company, like the factory. So the toner heads have been put out of work by these fucking idiots who are just trained monkeys. And basically, we've got to stop these monkeys from fucking up our planet. And with these monkeys, many of them only have an IQ of probably just over 100 to 110. So they're not. That's why you don't see any new features in these machines. You only just see them tinkering around the edges, so to speak. And I wasn't meant to do that. But you see these people tinkering around the edges, like changing the light, changing the way the touch screen works. Like, instead of having tabs, we're now simulating a mobile phone functionality with flick and drag and all that sort of shit. But I find that quite clumsy. Now this looks even better. I think that was a really good little accident we had while gas bagging. But basically, they don't know how to make a good product. They don't make new features, and they certainly haven't got the ability, the mental power to make machines that have artificial intelligence, which I believe is the future of photocopiers. If somehow we can put together our own company and make it into a company that looks after the planet and looks after its employees and people in general and humanity. We make this into a humane company. We make it into a company. No, I don't think such a thing exists at this stage. So this will be something totally new. But how are we going to compete with the establishment? Well, when we don't have, how much capital will it take to basically create this new design and manufacturing facility? How do we do it? You know, the only logical way I can think is if somehow Konica Minolta could be taken over by some toner head or photocopier nerd who's got a lot of money, who can actually buy out Konica Minolta or Xerox. And basically, so we're photocopying this as our master copy, but basically we need someone who's got enough money to buy out this huge multinational corporation like Konica Minolta or Xerox, to name a couple that would have probably the better of the plant equipment, the manufacturing equipment, because we need equipment to manufacture photocopiers, like plant machinery, you know, like the machines, the plastic moulding machines or the metal moulding, whatever machines they use to make this shit. But that's going to seem like too difficult because we don't have the money to take over the establishment, and the establishment is a real stink. It must go. But how do we make it go? How do we make it happen when most of us are not rich? Many of us, we're just common people. I don't know of any toner head who could take over Konica Minolta, but I don't know. I do have to hold out hope. I can keep showing people in the world that these machines don't live up to their standards, up to the standards that should be up to. But basically, how can we afford to take over an established company like Konica Minolta or Xerox when they are just too big and too expensive? Their share market stocks are way over, and you got shareholders who've got parts of the company, you know, and all that sort of shit. How do you buy all that out? How do you take over that? And what if it's the only way we could build a photocopier that helps look after our environment and helps look after the people who use it and even the people who put it together. So we've got to make a photocopier that's artificially intelligent. We've also got to make a photocopier that basically lasts a long time. The hardware should last 60 years, or actually the software as well, but the software can always be updated like we have on our mobile phones. But basically we need a machine to last 60 years so we don't have to pull it apart for recycling, because you're not supposed to throw electronic waste into landfill. And high temp incineration is not terribly good either. It's a bit better than landfill, I do believe, but it's not good enough. We've got to recycle pretty much every piece of that machine, or that's my goal, is a zero tolerance on badly disposed e-waste, inappropriately disposed e-waste. It must not end up in landfill. It is highly toxic. And having these machines turned over every 5 years instead of every 10 years at least is bad for the planet, because it's just all about money. This machine I won't be able to get spare parts for in less than 5 years. So this will have to be, I have to buy another machine. And where does Konica Minolta throw these old machines? That's the question I ask myself. But basically, we've got to make it environmentally friendly, and so we make it last 60 years. And then when 60 years is up, we can then tear it down and make it and recycle all the materials, the plastics, the metals, the minerals, whatever, the glass components, all sorts of shit. And we got to basically in the design of the photocopier, integral to the design, if I'm correct, is the ease of dismantlement of equipment at the end of its serviceable life. So it has to be easy to dismantle. There has to be less complicated materials like all these weird plastics and shit. We've got to have less plastic. It's got to be more natural, like more metal. Otherwise, this is not what our future generations will be paying for this shit otherwise. So we've got to think about the environment, and we've got to think about humanity. Because if you don't think about the environment or humanity, people are going to die and suffering. That is not acceptable. So you CEOs, you fucking managing directors, you David Cook included, go fuck yourselves. Because if you don't care for the planet, your children, if you have children, are not going to inherit a very nice place. So think about your children, you selfish pigs, and go to hell.